You know what? We might be going out on Facebook. I think we are going out on Facebook.
Are we? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, my thing. Really? Okay, I'm going to stream this to my audience. Let me see. I really want to. Oh, it's working.
We're going live on Facebook today.
Stats by Kat and lending by Dan. How about that?
There we go. Oh, that's better than my
all things real estate. Ask questions. Oh, can't do it on the Facebook. Okay. All things real estate. ... Okay, here we go.
Can't do it on Facebook?
Well, I don't think we can get questions. I mean,
yeah.
You know. So, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead since I think we're live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was very anticlimactic. Welcome. Right. Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Pretty good, Kat. Better. I just had my lunch on camera as we were starting. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible.
That's all right. So do I have glare in my glasses? I don't think I do today. I think because it's so cloudy outside. I was going to lower my blind, but I don't think I need to. I think it's actually adding to the light. Okay, I'm going to turn on a few lights. Sorry, we were not ready to go live, apparently. I got to turn on a couple more lights. Hold on. I'm going to get this one. I think this one helps do a little bit of light fill on my face. Get this one too. It's so dark today, Dan. It's kind of darkish.
Well, I got to tell you, it's nice and sunny down here in Renton.
No.
It's beautiful down here in Renton.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not putting me on?
No, I'm not putting you on. It's really nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sun is out.
Okay, well, we're going to go live on TikTok. Hi, guys. Kat Howard with Windermere Real Estate in Woodinville, Washington, joined today by Dan Mellis with Nixon Mortgage.
In sunny Renton.
In sunny Renton. He says it's sunny there. So anyway, hi, guys. We're going to talk all things real estate, stats by Kat, and lending by Dan. So anyway, there you have it. That's our intro.
Well, there we go. So, Kat, is a busy week, very busy week. Interesting stuff going on in the mortgage market. Stuff. Yeah, last week was it could have been it might end up being very, very pivotal last week, right? And I'll keep this real short, but it could have been a really pivotal week because I think from everything I've read, I think that Jerome Powell is recognizing that the economy is weakening. And it's not really being reported much in the press, but I think there is some underlying weakness that's occurring in the labor market, which is really important. It started to show up in the labor report, the unemployment report on Friday, and before that, they had the Fed meeting, and you could tell that the winds had changed a little bit. The sales they've had to reset the sales, so to speak. And it might not be immediately in the market, but I think once we get through this week and we get through the Treasury auctions, you're going to see, we'll see what happens with rates. But I think we have a really good chance at seeing rates begin to head lower in the next, let's say, by mid-April, somewhere in there.
You said that. Dan, did you say that out loud?
I said it, yes, and I said it last week too, I believe.
You think that rates are going to go lower?
I thought rates were going to go. Guess what happened last week? Rates went lower. They went lower last week, yes.
Where are they right now?
So I'm 1 for 31 in my prediction. I'm doing.
Where are they today?
You know, I just quoted a client, and I quoted them under 7%.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so they have come back a little.
Yes. Now
Okay,
I
good.
have to. Now the part I didn't tell the client because all they were asking for is rates, and I'm sure they were shopping me against a dozen other
Yeah,
lenders. But
that's what they're
those
told to do.
that's what the circumstances are. Yes. So I gave them the very best rates that we had as far as the lenders are concerned, because we got 240 lenders or something like that, right?
Yeah, you
So
guys work with a lot of lenders.
a lot of lenders, yeah. Not all of them for conventional normal stuff. We do a lot of niche loans and things like that. But having said that, I was like, okay, we got to pull out the big guns. These guys don't close, but they're not asking me if they can close in 30 days. They're just asking me for the best rates. I'm like, okay, you got it. And I would have told them, except for they're not answering their phones today. So hopefully they'll answer their phones coming up. So we were doing some emails back and forth.
Oh, gotcha.
So I did go out of my comfort zone as far as quoting rates, right? So
Good for you.
yeah, which is fine. So the rates were a little bit better, under 7%, and
Good.
we'll see where it goes from there. But it's good to know that at least you can go somewhere where it'll be under 7%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good thing. And then we've been, the thing is, and we'll get to stats by Cat here, like right now, basically. But after stats by Cat, unless you want to do the ADUs first, but I was thinking we'd do the stats first and then the ADUs.
Yeah, let's do the stats first. We'll get me warmed up a little bit.
Okay. Those ADU numbers, we've both been doing some research this week on it. And it's
I'm not 5'10". 5'6".
How tall?
Somebody asked me how tall I was. I look 5'11". It must be the angle of the phone.
Alrighty.
Like you aim it down at yourself a little bit. It makes the rest of you look a little smaller. It's excellent.
Well, let's get over to stats by Cat because this is an interesting week. Very interesting week this week, right? So, King County first?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. So here we go. King County, 1 month supply of inventory, and that has been ticking up just like it has in all the other counties that I follow in Western Washington. So pretty much across the board, guys, things are more inventory, and with interest rates a little bit higher than they were a few weeks back, it's putting a little downward pressure on the market. So King County, 1 month supply of inventory, higher than it's been in quite a while. More choices for buyers. So let me just add that, right? Okay, so we've got 1,408 listings currently on the market in King County. 62% of sellers set offer review dates. 56% of sellers got off. 56% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed their home between April 21st and April 27th. So that's 7-day-old data, right, guys? So not this last week, but the week before. So that number is down. It's down from last week, and last week was down from the week before. I believe it was 60 last week, and the week before that, I believe, was 63 or 64. So we've come back almost 10 points. So, and let's see, the 2-week data looks pretty good though still. 70% of sellers got under contract in King County if they listed within 14 days, if they listed their home between April 7th and April 20th. So, and that's pretty much before interest rates started shooting up. I think they might have started going up that second week of that data set. So, right. But we still but that's still really good, right? So, our 0 to 7 day data is a little weaker, but that second week kind of almost made up the difference. So I think what's happening out there is we've got interest rates going up a little bit. Buyers' payments are looking like they're going to be higher, and buyers are feeling a lot less like competing. I mean, it just, so it makes sense that maybe they would sit on the sidelines until some more sellers miss their offer review date. So I think we're going to see that happening because let's face it, we've got 62% of sellers set offer review date. So we had some of those sellers miss their offer review date.
Right.
So, But anyway, yeah, that's King County. Let me grab a jacket. Let's do black on black, Dan.
Oh, look at that.
Looks like I'm gonna have to block a user. All right. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
You ready for Snohomish, Dan?
I am ready. Oh, not quite. Hang on. Okay. Now I'm ready for Snohomish.
I see the graphic now. Okay, you guys. Snohomish County, 0.9 month supply of inventory, and that is creeping up. Again, week over week, we're starting to see that number increase. Inventory is up in Snohomish County, just like it is in King County. And so along with the higher interest rates, that's going to put a little bit downward pressure on the market. And we're going to see that in the numbers as I let you know what's happening there in Snohomish County. Data reflects. So 488 listings currently on the market in Snohomish County. 63% of sellers set offer review date. 48% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed their home between April 21st and April 27th. And 70% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed their home between April 7th and April 20th. So that, again, that second week data kind of almost making up for the lackluster first week. And not that 48% is a bad number for, number of sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days, but it's just lower than it has been probably since early January.
Yeah.
Right. Or late December.
Yeah.
So, as a matter of fact, do I have that? I might have that book. Hold on one second. I meant to look at that and I didn't look. I think this is my stats book for that time frame. Hold on. Let me just see, because it's been a while since I've seen Snohomish in the 40s. Okay, so November it was in the 40s. So that makes sense. December, let's look into December here a little bit. Let's pull my other kind of stats here. We had 47% November 26th through December 2nd. So that was probably Thanksgiving holiday. And that was almost the same as what it is right now. So that was a much softer market back then. Yeah. So I don't know that we actually were in the 40s in early January. We might have been, but the market's been pretty lickety split since December in Snohomish. So it's come back a bit. It's just softened a bit.
Yeah.
Still a really good market though. 70% of sellers getting off the market, in the first 2 weeks. It's still a really strong sellers market. They're just not going to be as many multiple offers, right? Because you're not going to see as many multiple offers that second week.
Hang on here.
You might run into another buyer because a lot of buyers have been waiting for that second week.
Well, the thing is, this is a pretty good time to jump in if we're right about interest rates, because I think there's going to be another wave of a tight market.
Yeah, no, I think for buyers, this is a good buying opportunity. You're not gonna, maybe get a great deal, but you might not have to overpay, which is lovely. So much rather see my buyers get under contract, at listing price or just under listing price if they can, and be able to have an inspection and negotiate further. So I just got a client under contract, but it was for a house in Skagit County. It's a little softer market up there. So they were on the market for just over 2 weeks. We did manage to get less than asking price by quite a bit. And we were able to negotiate the inspection, which is lovely because that's normal, right? So anyway, all right.
Let me take a look at here. I'm able to pull up King County. Okay, November. I'm just pulling up some of the old stats by Cat, going back a few months.
Yeah. Yep.
And if we go to the end of November, in King County, I couldn't find Snohomish yet, but they were down to 36%.
Yeah, Snohomish had the strongest market. Remember, it's had the strongest market almost the whole spring. I think King County pulled ahead for a little while, but overall, it's been a really strong market in Snohomish County.
Right. I'm just looking for the old Snohomish County stats, and they're not showing up. Oh, well, life goes on. That's okay. We'll move on to how about, did you want to stick with Snohomish?
My TikTok stand is falling. Hold on. What do I want to do? What? Oh, thank you for the heart, somebody. You trash talkers, leave my scene.
Somebody was talking trash?
Oh, yeah, it's naughty. I don't like it.
Oh, well, that's not good. Well, it is TikTok.
I know, it is TikTok. But
I mean, I hate to categorize things like that, but TikTok,
yeah.
I'm on TikTok, and it's a jungle out there.
It is a jungle out there. Anyway, I like most of my TikTokers. Most of them are good to me. So I appreciate that. Amanda, for instance.
Hello, Amanda.
Love Amanda. I don't know if she's on yet. I don't see her on yet. Let me see if I can scroll through. All right. Okay. Just got distracted there for a minute, Dan. Sorry about that. Hi, guys. Oh, and I don't have my... Yeah.
Did you want to go Pierce or Kitsap?
I'm just gonna do Pierce, Dan.
Okay.
Am I good to go with Pierce? You notice I got my denim jacket on.
I do notice you got the denim jacket on. Yes. Let's hang on. Let's
Girl gets a little country. So Pierce County, 1 full month supply of inventory. So theirs has been ticking up, stayed the same as last week, but their inventory is increasing, and we're starting to see that market soften a tad. They're less impacted for some reason by the interest rates. But they're, they got a good market going down there. So, all right. 962 listings on the market currently. 27% of sellers set offer review dates. Oh, I forgot to change my glasses again, Dan. So 1 month's supply of inventory in Pierce County. Let's see. 962 listings currently on the market. 27% of sellers set offer review dates in Pierce County. I'm not sure why I put my glasses on. They're all crooked. Anyway. Okay. 46% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed their home between April 21st and April 27th. So that's just 1 week back, right? So that's 46%. So that's a pretty good number for Pierce County, honestly. And Pierce County, 58% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed their home between April 7th and April 20th. So not a bad market for Pierce County. It's actually, that's quite consistent with where they've been. So
yeah, I mean, it's not a bad market.
But it is an opportunity for buyers that have been, maybe having trouble getting under contract. Now we've only got about half the sellers getting under contract within the first 7 days during their offer review date. And so that gives buyers a few more homes to take a look at.
Right.
And then maybe not have to compete on.
It just feels like a more balanced market more than anything else.
Yeah, it's not nowhere's near balanced because you have sellers ruling the world. Yeah. But it is more balanced. I mean, I think if you get up to 2 to 3 months supply of inventory, then you're looking at what would be technically considered a balanced market. And then you're going to have some sellers that are really having to reduce price to compete. And the competition between sellers gets a lot more fierce at that point. Right now, sellers, as long as you're prepared for the market, you're going to get top dollar. In a softer market, when buyers have more choices, you can have a really nice home in really great condition, but maybe you don't have the big flat backyard. And buyers in this market are willing to overlook a few flaws. Buyers in a normal market aren't going to be willing to overlook some of those flaws. Now you're just really happy to get into something, right? So because it's a seller's market, sellers really rock and roll the world. They're ruling right now. So But you can imagine if the buyer had, instead of, what do they have now? Maybe 15 homes to take a look at in a price point, within a certain number of miles. You can imagine if they had 30 or 40, what that would look like, right? So then they're like, well, I want this and I want that. And they're less likely to let go of all the things that they feel like they need. Whereas I think people are really willing to compromise right now. My client went to Skagit County. And I'll tell you what, if there was twice as many homes on the market, we would have found him something closer to Snohomish.
Right.
Probably, similar price point, not as nice a home, but, but that would be considered more balanced market. But it's definitely better than, let's say, April 2022.
Well, it is funny how just in the last few weeks you've seen kind of what we thought was going to happen. We kind of thought it was going to be a slowdown because the rates had gone up, and that's what happened. And
we sure did. Absolutely. When interest rates ticked up quite a bit that 1 week, you and I, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago on our live, and we said, yeah, things are going to start slowing down because we had the hottest week so far ever this year. And that changed very quickly. Air came right out of that tire.
Right. I mean, basically things kind of started shifting a little bit, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah. And we're starting to see them in the stats, and
that's right.
It takes a week or so to start getting those things to filter into the stats. And,
I think it's been reflected the past 2 weeks pretty solidly.
Yeah. And the inverse is the same. It is true also. Once we start seeing rates come back down, which, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that we start to see, but we'll probably see a pickup pretty quickly, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
As rates
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, if there's a lot of buyers out there, then inventory won't get out of control this summer. But in a normal summer, we would see the market start to slow down. Right. For sellers, you would start to see prices soften a bit into mid to late summer. We'd start to see maybe some prices being reduced, market times increasing. Right now, we've got median market times in Snohomish and King counties of 5 days, right? Because more than half the homes are getting off the market in 5 days or less. Wow. So
that's pretty impressive.
That's a very aggressive, seller's market. It's pretty hot seller's market. Yeah. So if that does start to happen, where we start to have listings linger on the market longer, we'll definitely start to see, prices softening a bit and a lot less multiple offer situations and things like that.
Yeah.
So
well, do you want to move on to Kitsap?
We're got to do Mason.
Oh, Mason. Let's go to Mason.
Mason County. I like Mason County. You got the graphic. Mason County, 1.9 months supply of inventory. And again, that has ticked up. 140 homes currently on the market. 14% of sellers set offer review dates, indicating they feel fairly confident that they might receive multiple offers. So they're thinking they might be the shiny object. 17% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed their home between April 21st and April 27th. And 30% of sellers in Mason County got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed their home between April 7th and April 20th. So just kind of a moderate seller's market in Mason County. That's much, much more leaning towards a more balanced market in Mason County. They've got about 1 month more supply of inventory than we do over here on the east side,
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So Mason County, I think their market will pick up in the summer.
That's a good time for them. Yeah. That's a good, yeah.
It's a place you go visit too, right?
That's right. Well, next up, you want to go Skagit? Skagit. All right.
Skagit County, 1.8 months supply of inventory. What do we got? 179 homes currently on the market. 22% of sellers set offer review dates. 27% of sellers in Skagit County got under contract within the first 7 days on the market if they listed their home between April 21st and April 27th. 37% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market in Skagit County if they listed their home between April 7th and April 20th. So pretty decent market in Skagit County, not quite as good a clip as we've got in Snohomish and King counties. But again, they are being impacted by increasing inventory. So their market is being impacted by that as well. So, and should we do Kitsap? Run through Kitsap?
Yeah,
you guys can ask me questions if you want. Real estate related.
Oh, sorry.
What? Are you sleeping?
Oh no, me. You're talking to the TikTok.
I was talking to TikTok crowd. Dan, you can ask me questions too, real estate related.
I thought you were telling me, Dan, wake up. You could ask me some questions if you like, Dan. No, that was the TikTok folks.
Yeah, some comments in this live were filtered. No kidding. Thank God. I was like, who's filtering? Is there anybody filtering out there in the background somewhere? Somebody needs to be doing some filtering. I'm offended.
Are you getting some eye-opening comments?
Oh man. Yeah, I had a few. I don't have any use for that,
Yeah.
You guys keep your smut to yourselves.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Sorry. Anyway.
Well, that's
TikTokers, you nice ones.
I
just haven't been exposed to that before on TikTok. So anyway, all right, let's talk stats by Cat. Kitsap County. Kitsap County is up to 1.3 months supply of inventory. That is up 30% from last week. They had an onslaught of new listings, and boy, is it impacting their data.
Wow.
Yep. So 309 listings on the market currently in Kitsap County. 41% of sellers in Kitsap County opted to set offer review dates. Again, they're thinking they're the ones that are going to get multiple offers. Only 38% of sellers in Kitsap County got under contract within the first 7 days on the market, and that's if they listed their home between April 21st and April 27th. However, that 2-week data sort of comes in for the save. 54% of sellers in Kitsap County got under contract within the first 14 days on the market if they listed their home between April 7th and April 20th. So not a bad market in Kitsap County, just markedly different, markedly downward trajectory from where they were a couple weeks ago. So they've lost some steam. They actually had the hottest number of all the 6 counties that I look at the data for. They actually had I think it was the highest. Was it the highest 1 week data? It was they ended up with some good numbers just a few weeks ago, right before everything started going south.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so we've made it through the counties, Dan.
Okay. So do you want to talk EDUs now, or anything else on your mind?
Anything else on my mind? Let's see. Mr. Fat Tuesday.
How's he doing?
He's always on my mind. He's over here. He's not nugging on the table right here next to me.
I don't hear him pushing.
He's not talking. I know. It's nice. He's not yelling. Lots of times he's yelling out there. All right.
Let's talk ADUs.
So I guess let's talk ADUs. So you had a conversation with Mike Appleby a couple of days ago,
or otherwise known as our source. Yes.
Otherwise known as our source. Oops.
That's okay.
Just said that live.
That's all right. No biggie.
Sorry, Nick. So, should we kind of go through these slides? I think maybe that's the best way to do it because I've got a copy. You've got a copy. I'll have to rely on my eyes being able to read the screen.
Yeah. Here we go. So let's go to slide 1 is the intro slide. The changing landscape of housing, and maybe just a little bit of background real quick.
So I think, you guys, Washington State is facing a housing crisis, which is what's driving our crazy sellers market right now. Certainly not interest rates.
No.
We actually have a real shortage of housing. And the way the state legislature has chosen to try to mitigate that is by allowing ADUs or which are also additional dwelling units, right? Or attached dwelling units. But ADUs now is a term that's used for DADUs as well, the detached dwelling units. So ADU is just a term to identify another living space, a self-contained living space on your property. So whether that's a basement, mother-in-law situation, or just attached like a duplex or triplex situation, or it's a detached self-contained building with a kitchen and bathroom facilities and a and sleeping and kitchen, all that stuff, your living arrangements situations. So that's what the state has decided that they would introduce legislation last year that would mandate the counties within urban growth boundary areas to allow additional units to be built on certain single family, certain parcels that were designated single family residential. For instance, in Everett, they're allowing 2 additional dwelling units, 2 ADUs to be built on every single family parcel with no minimum parcel size. So there are some basic things. There's going to be some basic setbacks. Some lots are going to be too small, or there's not going to be access to the backyard. The ideal situation is a 100-foot deep lot, 60-foot wide or more, that has an alley access behind it. And the house is primarily built on the front half of the lot, right? And so that you've got the back half of the lot still where you could put 2 additional units back there and maybe some parking, 1 or 2 spots for parking off the alley. So, but the setback off the alley is 0 if there's not a garage. If there's a garage, then I believe they need 5 to 10 feet setback to allow for the vehicle to swing into the garage. But very interesting legislation that got passed last year, and it is now legal in Everett as of January 1st to build 2 additional dwelling units on a property that is not impacted by CC&Rs, right? So this does not include subdivisions that have CC&Rs that state that there could only be 1 living unit per property, per lot. So all subdivisions going forward will not be allowed to have anything in the CC&R language that limits the property to 1 living unit. So big changes by the state. We've got to give them a round of applause for taking the initiative, and our source helped them come up with some reasonable expectations of the different areas. So, and so what really, how this is different than what they're doing in Seattle, for instance, in Everett, is they're actually going to allow, let's just take an example. You buy a 1,200 square foot house for, let's say, $550,000, and it's got alley access. It's not in a neighborhood where there are any CC&Rs. It's in an older neighborhood, probably built in 1940s, 1950s. And it's 60 feet wide, 100 feet deep. And there is room to put 2 ADUs behind it. And they can be freestanding. They don't have to be a duplex. They could be a duplex, but they don't have to be. The beautiful thing about what they're doing in Everett is they're allowing you to split that lot into 3 lots and sell those off individually.
Yep.
And so what that does is it creates, from 1 affordable home, it creates 2 additional affordable homes, essentially tripling the affordable home aspect of Everett if every single lot took advantage of that, and that's not going to happen. But it's definitely going to add to the pool of homes that are going to be listed in that $500,000 to $600,000 price range, which are seriously lacking in Everett area. So that's really pretty much almost entry level price point, and they're going to be new construction. They're going to be brand new, folks. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,000 square feet. So they're not going to be big, but it's going to have everything that you need for a small family, right? And a little yard for a pet. They can be fenced. The yards don't have to be very big. There's no requirement that they have to be X amount of square footage for the yard. They need at least 5 feet from the fence, so they will all have some yard. And I think if whoever's doing the developing is very smart about it, you'll make sure that they do get a little bit of yard when you divide those up. And then at the end of the day, you guys, so what's going to happen is you're going to have an attorney draw up an HOA, put together an HOA for the 3 properties. And the sewers will be tapped into the sewer line that attaches to the main line, but it'll attach to the sewer line from the house if it's big enough to have that happen. And so you're going to be able to bypass a lot of the sewer connection fees and things like that. The same with the water lines. So, and there's a third party company that can monitor water usage and sewer usage unintrusively and bill those 3 parties individually. So there's a real good system for that already in place. And so what else am I missing, Dan? So there's that you can sell them off individually. There's the HOA part of it. Oh yeah, well they're also streamlining the permitting process. So it should only take you about 3 months to get through the permitting process. So you pick up one of these cute little houses in Everett, for instance, that have the laws in place already, and you submit your plans, or you get yourself a builder who's had a few years of building homes from start to finish, and submit your application to the city of Everett. And within about 3 months, you should be able to have permits to get started rolling forward, breaking ground on those 2 units, and then as well as renovating the main house. So to make them all very saleable, right? So at the end of the day, you wind up selling those 3. Somebody could live in the main house, right, while it's being renovated.
The interesting part is, Kat, we were running some numbers late last week, right? Yes. I was talking to my lender, and we ran some numbers.
Wait, I'm his realtor. No.
Yes, you are my realtor.
One of many. I might add.
You're the one, Kat.
He'd have a hard time surviving just on my business.
You're the one. So, but we penciled things out, okay, and we took a look at what this is going to cost, and we have a cost budget that we put together, and in the conversation we had with our source, actually the money so the budget was coming in at about $300,000, $299 and some change. Mm-hmm. What our source is saying is actually coming in a little less than that. So
right. So our source is following a couple of projects that are ongoing in Everett. I believe our source also has his own projects, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So he's got firsthand knowledge of what this is actually costing.
And so this is really the first window of opportunity that we can take a look at since the laws have been enacted to see, what are the costs, and then also what's a realistic sales price, right?
Right.
And then I went to my lender, and we've kind of sketched out, what is this going to look like as far as down payment is concerned? Because ballpark, let's say you're buying a house for $525.
We wanted to figure out how to put the nuts and bolts of this together so that we could actually put together a package, a proposal for a builder and an investor, or a builder investor, right? So that's kind of what we were trying to go with, gathering all this information, because we've been working on this for a year. We were aware of when the legislature was considering this legislation, and with the feeling that hopefully it would go through, and all the major parts did go through, get passed last year. And then our source was very kind to fill in some of the blanks for us. And since then, since January 1st, now that the laws are in place and they're actually implementing their new rules and regulations, he's able to see those projects as they're coming along. And so it's been more than, he's witnessed that they've got their permits within the first 3 months, and seeing where the costs are coming in for the construction that he's been working on, as well as, what's being proposed for the other units in Everett that are going up right now. So
they're working off of,
so we wanted to run our own numbers based on what we were told, and come up with what the financing would look like for that, for an investor or an investor builder.
Correct. That's right.
So what do we got, Dan?
So what do we have? Well, you're going to be looking at about,
down payment.
We have a little bit of a disagreement with the, if we were running the numbers ourselves too on the sales side of things, right?
Yeah.
And you were thinking that you could probably sell this for $550 or $575, something like that. 600 maybe.
New construction, freestanding, no shared walls. Yeah. If it's got a garage, I was kind of basing my numbers if it's got a garage. If we're going to be doing it without a garage, then there's going to be a discount for that.
Right.
Now you're looking at kind of a cottage.
So our source is looking more in the $500,000 ballpark. Okay, so that's a real conservative.
I think he's talking about like doing them as a duplex, though, right, Dan?
Well, you could do them as a duplex. It's going to be recorded as a two-unit condo.
Separately, but I'm just saying if they're attached, there's a little discount for being attached too, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there are some variables that really depend on the plans and the specific property that you can put this on. So
right.
It's not a total cookie cutter, but to an extent it is. But we'll get into that. But anyway, the numbers ballpark. Let's just say you are selling them for $500. You've got a hard cost of, let's just say, $299, and then you're going to have about $20,000 roughly in financing costs, 20 or 25. So that's going to put you up around 3.25. You're selling it for $550. Or $500. You've got about 9% costs in terms of the transactions and things like that. All those different taxes you're going to pay. So that's going to take you down to about $450 net ballpark, and you're going to be into this for about $325 net. So you're talking about $125,000 profit per unit, which is pretty attractive, and your total out-of-pocket down payment is going to be about $280,000.
Okay.
So so you're looking, if you divide the one by the other, you're looking at over a 50% return on investment in the course of a 9-month build period.
Right.
So that's kind of what the numbers look like, and those are pretty conservative numbers. So and the other part that I think is interesting about it is I don't think, I'm not going to vouch for anything, right? You're doing spec construction. It's called spec construction for a reason, right? You're building new homes for a reason. But within that realm, there appears to be plenty of demand at that price point. If you're rolling things out at $500,000, that does seem to be a sweet spot in the market for demand. And at least right now, who knows when things are going to change, but right now, it does appear that there is significant demand.
There's a lot of demand under 6. Yeah,
under 6.
A lot of demand under 6. Yep. And that looks a lot like first-time home buyers to a large degree. Few people, few condo buyers moving up, But it's a really nice spot. It's that's not a price point that's you're going to have a house sit on the market.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so your risk really is going to be execution of the plan, basically, right? It will be executing
Yeah.
the plan.
That's
Um,
right.
and it's not going to be, do we have enough demand out there? Those are two different questions, right? So as
Yeah.
long as you can execute your plan, get it built at cost, at the cost you're expecting, don't have a bunch of cost overruns, you should be just fine, and it could be a very profitable venture. The other
Right.
part is, kind of in a nutshell, what I was looking at is basically you're going to be selling your two. If you're looking at this whole thing as an investor, you would end up selling your two ADUs. That's your profit component, and then you're going to sell the main house, the original house, basically at a break even. And that's sort of the business model that you're looking for. And like I say, it looks like a very feasible business model that we're talking about. Very feasible, as long as demand holds up, and it's going, it's looking good for the foreseeable future. We should be in good shape. Let's move on to slide 2 real quick.
Yeah.
So
this is a map showing when the different counties are going to enact their own legislation or their own rules to comply with the new legislation, right? So the orange counties, Kitsap, Pierce, King, and Snohomish, they're all required to have their different jurisdictions that are subjected to this new law, right? Or that will have to comply with the new law. They'll all have to have systems in place by December 31st of this year. So 2024. Right. And then the counties in the green, the lime green or pea green, they have until June of 2025 to comply. And that's just the areas and cities that are impacted by the legislation. So, right. And then the gray areas is June 2026, and then the blue parts of the state 2027. So that's kind of what that looks like. Just kind of gives you an idea of when the different counties are going to be required to comply.
And from an investor standpoint, the thing that's interesting about this is if you begin, your little investment pursuit on some of these properties, you start here this year, 2024, but you'll be able to you get the hang of it after you do 1, 2, 3 of these things, and you start looking out, and they're going to be rolling these programs out through 2027. So there's a lot you can look into the future. And the way this is set up is the condos are pretty much cookie cutters, which is a good thing from an investment standpoint. I don't want to.
You know what? That was the other piece of the puzzle, you guys. I forgot to mention is that that these different jurisdictions are likely to have plans already available, stock plans available to the public for choice as far as choices for different styles of ADUs that have already been essentially through the permitting process, right? So it can really kind of streamline it, right? Isn't that right, Dan? I mean, I think the city of Seattle has a number of, you can go to the Seattle City website. Actually, their ADU website is quite fantastic. And you can go through their different floor plans that they've got and different styles of ADUs that they've got available. Kirkland has something similar. I'm not sure what their website looks like, but I'm waiting for Everett to come up with a slick website. but that's the other feature about this legislation is they really wanted the different jurisdictions to make this really easy and quick for the consumer, so that these things could get up and running right away. So this is not a several year process. This is a 3 months in permitting, hopefully in Everett, and then 6 months maybe to get them up and running.
5 months in Kirkland. So
5 months for permits.
For permits in Kirkland, yeah, and
you guys, I'm just talking about Everett.
Okay, so and then you've got how the thing is what differentiates, say, Everett from Seattle is when you build the ADU in Everett, you can subdivide it and sell it off. You can't do that in Seattle, right?
That's right.
So it can only be a rental property. So
different jurisdictions are going to be implementing this legislation in different manners. There's some guidelines that they've been given but there are different ways to implement it. I think Anacortes is going to allow one ADU in certain areas.
You're correct. Yeah. And each area is going to be a little bit different. And we're talking primarily about Everett right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a little more information. We have a little more information about Everett because Everett, their laws for this went into effect January 1st. So they were ready to go when this legislation was passed.
They're the guinea pig.
Our source was helping them implement in advance.
The tip of the spear, so to speak.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about here, you can look it up online, folks that are watching. It's House Bill 1337 that we're talking about. And then there's an additional House bill we'll get to in just a minute. Right there, House Bill 1110, which is for middle housing. And
that's what they're called. That's what they're calling this is the ADU boom is the middle housing, and they're calling that middle housing.
Middle housing, and what they're really trying to do is increase urban density, getting more people to live in smaller spaces, basically.
That's right, inside the urban growth boundary, right? So this really applies to areas inside the urban growth boundary. There's legislation at the state level right now regarding the more rural areas, but there isn't anything on the books yet that increases density for including the ADUs for the rural areas other than what's already on the books, right? So, but this is all we're talking about properties within the urban growth boundary. And then there are some restrictions within that.
Right. And let's see here. We'll go to the next. Okay, House bill continued. If anyone needs these slides, by the way, just email us and we'll get them out to you.
That's right. If you guys want to know like the names of the cities that are going to be impacted in your area, I can let you know what those are.
And one other thing that we probably should touch on that we haven't yet is a concept called coverage. And I'll just talk about, let's say, Everett. Okay. So if you're in Everett, one thing you have to have is, let's say you have a lot that's 6,000 square feet, okay? And you have a house that's 1,500 square feet sitting on that 6,000 square foot lot. And your coverage ratio that's being determined by the city is 40 to 45% coverage ratio. So let's just take a 40% coverage ratio. That gives you 2,400 square feet total. And if the house is using up 1,500 square feet of it, that leaves you with 900 square feet.
That's right.
And then if you've got, and there is a little bit of slack in there, it'll go 40 to 45% coverage ratio. So that could take you up to about 2,600 square feet that you could get. And that would give you that extra little oomph to get you to 1,000 duplex, 1,000 square foot duplex, something like that. So
right, which should necessarily then have to be several stories.
Yes, that's right. So it's just a little. Oh, and there's one other thing that I'll throw in there. It's really pretty eye-opening. Is if you are considered within, if the property, I should say, is considered within a quarter of a mile from a main bus line in Everett. So like a bus that goes once an hour, I think is the criteria. It has to go once an hour, which is the main bus line. You could take a lot and you could subdivide it. Instead of two properties, instead of two ADUs, you could build 6 townhomes on that tiny lot. 6 townhomes. So you would just squeeze them in as best you can. And, again, that could be very, very, very lucrative, but you do have to execute. There's a lot of things you're going to have to get through. They're not just handing out free money, so to speak. There's a lot of, there's work to be done, but at the end of the day, it's a very solid return that you're looking at, and it's well worth the effort from an investment standpoint.
Yeah. I think ideally, with the adding the 2 ADUs, I think ideally you'd be looking for a house that's fairly small.
Yes.
So it's not taking up too big of a footprint on the lot, and maybe the larger lot sizes would be easier to contend with. 8,000 square feet, 8,500 square feet might give you a little bit more leeway.
Right.
To put 2 little cottages.
Yeah. And that's basically what we're talking about, little cottages, and
Yeah.
they're nice little homes. And so, let's see here. Here's the city urban growth boundary.
Yeah, so that's the urban growth boundary that I was talking about, So, not all those, I mean, there are certain things that will be applied to Snohomish, but Snohomish is not going to be allowed to do the 2 ADUs because they're not a large enough city size. But I believe they will be allowed to build duplexes on any single family lot. So, and that's where your town has to be contiguous with the major urban growth boundary. It can't be separated. So Snohomish happens to be separated from the urban growth boundary, whereas Lake Stevens and Marysville, and I'm not sure if it goes as far north as Arlington. It might. I think it even includes Arlington. I think all of those areas might get included in the ADU changes that have taken effect, whereas Snohomish will not. But they will be able to build duplexes on any single family residential lot. That's as I understand it.
Yes. And I think it does go up to Arlington. I think
it does.
I can barely make it out up north, but I think
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah.
So,
and this was when they were making the changes to the legislation, and our source provided some information from the city council that showed the old requirements for ADUs and how that was being changed. So there's a whole bunch of lines on here that have been kind of lined out, and you'll see yellow highlighting. But I just included that basically for my own information. But if anybody wants to see this stuff, it's interesting. But it shows the changes that they made in Everett, specifically Everett, right?
And then here we've got a slide of...
And that's more. It's actually show there's more that's been crossed out there.
Oh, okay.
It's talking about the maximum building heights and stuff. So it's really more specifics to Everett. And I kind of went over some of that earlier. Right. But I just thought it was interesting. I thought to be complete, I would leave that in there. This is also going out to my people that are signed up for Stats by Cat. And so that's why some of these slides are in there, because it'll be more interesting to people that can sit down and read it.
Let's see what oh, here we go. This is what I was talking about, building the cost breakdown.
Yes, there's the cost breakdown.
And that came in. Now they put together the cost breakdown as an estimate before they had actually started building these things. So that's why there's a little bit of discrepancy between what I'm hearing from our source last week, which was in the 260 range, and then in the Excel spreadsheet that they're building out, that came in at 299 and some change. So a bit of a discrepancy, but a discrepancy sort of in
299 total building costs per unit.
Yeah, per unit. Yeah.
That's assuming 1,000 square feet per unit.
That's assuming 1,000 square feet per unit. Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's right. And
so this one, this was interesting. I pulled this from another set of slides from a while back. But this just shows that homeowners, 2023 homeowners stayed in their houses 13 years, whereas normally in, I don't even know, from 1985 to 2008, the average time somebody stayed in a house was 6 years. 6 years. And in 2023, of the people who bought houses in 2023, they had stayed in their previous home an average of 13 years, more than twice that. So that's been since 2008. So before 2008, people moved every 6 years.
Huh. And now
no, not anymore. People don't move. You buy your real estate and you hang on to it. A lot of that is due to interest rates, right? In 2022, so that was 2023. In 2022, the buyers that purchased homes, they had stayed in their homes an average of over 16 years.
Yeah.
So
this is not taking into account the interest rates. This is just what had happened before the interest rate rise.
Yes, that's right. People just started staying in their homes longer.
That's right.
Yeah. And so then.
And what's this next one here? Oh, do you want me to go back?
No, you go. You tackle this one, Dan. It's interest rates. This is up your alley.
Oh, interest rates. Oh, goodness.
Well, this one just shows how many people have interest rates locked into the home their interest rates for the homes they currently own. What percentage of people have that? So you can see under 3%, you can see those spikes there, up to 8 million. That's how many people have interest rates on their home mortgage under 3%. And then 4%, you can see there's quite a few there too. But if you get over to 5 and 6%, see how those numbers go down? It's because most people have mortgages 4% or less. If you look at the bulk of the mortgages. And then you can see at the very end, they've got over 7%, and we've got a few over 7. But
well, the thing is the percentage over 7
now.
So it's growing. So that's an interesting part. So so let's see here. Well, I guess that takes care of all the.
That's pretty much it, Dan.
That's it for the slide. Do you have anything else?
I don't know. Do I have anything else? I'm not sure. My brain has been so, involved in the ADU situation that I was trying to gather that data all today.
Yeah,
you did a pretty good job getting it together, huh?
Yeah, you did. You did a great job.
Took a minute.
It's a very interesting situation, because if you're an investor, you can take advantage of that, and the returns are pretty darn lucrative.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a lot of risk. Obviously, there's always some risk. That's why it's called investing.
That's why it's called spec construction. Spec standing for speculative. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the market can always go down. Right?
Yeah,
you can get a softer market. I'll have to take a look at the numbers for 1,000 square foot new construction. I think, where you lose a little value on those is going to be that the home is going to be facing the alley. So you're not going to have the street appeal, right?
Right.
The yard sizes are necessarily going to be smaller. And I think I was being hopeful, thinking that we would be able to find ADUs that are 1,000 square feet where you have a garage. That's what our source was talking about 6 months ago. And maybe that's not something that Everett is considering. I haven't really seen. I thought that one floor plan you sent me, I thought that had a garage on the ground floor. That's what it looked like to me. But it also looked like it might have been a 3-stack. I'm not sure.
Well, there's a lot of different plans out there right now, and
there are, and there's a few different companies doing them.
To be honest with you, I kind of mix a few of them up in my head every once in a while, because there's just a lot of different floor plans available.
Yeah, I mean, from a real estate perspective, this is what I have to see. I need to see 3 bedrooms, or 2 bedrooms and a den, right? I need 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a garage. So somehow all those things, and a yard, some kind of a yard, a fenced yard. And now all of a sudden you can have a small family, right?
Well, let me ask you this.
Park your car in the garage so it's secure, right?
If it came in as a 3-stack with no garage, but you got the listing, right? An imperfect listing, would you sell it to the public?
Yeah. I would. I wouldn't like it though.
They wouldn't like it, but
I wouldn't like it. I don't like specs, guys. I just don't. And most of my clients don't either. Nobody wants to have to do all those stairs. We're only doing that to be able to sell things a little less expensive and squeeze more homes on lots, right? We're not doing that because people want them, right?
That's right.
About that, it's like when you've got houses really close together, like out in Snoqualmie, they've got some of those neighborhoods. Well, we've got them all over the place, but we have the neighborhoods with the really narrow streets, and the houses are 5 feet from the fence line. Like, we'll have some of that in Everett now with these ADUs, but at least we're actually looking at that. We're actually providing that as because it's going to be more affordable, and I guess that's what they were trying to do with the big planned unit communities.
That is sort of the whole rationale for the higher urban density stuff. I mean, that is pretty much what they're talking about, right? Is making smaller backyards, building in the backyard, putting these things next to each other, higher density. I mean, that's the goal. So if the goal is higher density, you're probably going to see more 3-stacks. And it's just a
function of necessity in some certain cases. Well, and I think at the beginning here, and I think even in perpetuity, you're going to have one lot that's got these 3 units on it, right? Is the neighbor going to do the same thing? Probably not. You're going to have just little areas where you've got a couple little cottages in the back, right? So I think the nice thing about buying one of the little cottages is that for the most part, it won't be in a high density situation. You'll have the yard across from you, and the house, across the alley will be quite a ways away from you. And, you're not going to be right on top of each other like you would be in one of those planned unit communities where all the houses are 5 feet from the fence line. And so I don't know. And a lot of the little houses in Everett are also ramblers. And so, that second story, you'll feel like you've got a little more privacy, a little more sky.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, how you finance how you finance this is going to be kind of tricky. Okay. You really have to kind of look at it from an investment standpoint.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about that. I mean, you were saying that it needs to be financed as like new construction, right?
Well, you do, and even within that realm, there's some nuance involved, right?
Like the builder that you're bringing on has to have some experience, right? They have to have built like 3 new construction homes.
Yeah, they have to have some experience, no question about that. And then on top of that, the lender, at least that I was talking to, if you build one in the backyard, they could count that as a renovation loan, which is easier to qualify for. And the terms.
Hi, honey. Sorry.
It's all right. And then
so renovation loan is easier to qualify for than
it's going to be easier.
But if you do the renovation loan, don't you have to build them one at a time?
Yes, that's
the trick. So that's what the trick is, you guys. Is then you only can build one at a time. So then you're kind of selling them off sequentially. Whereas we were talking about with the new construction loan, you could build both of the ADUs at the same time, and then you could also renovate the main house, and you could potentially sell the main house off first, right? While you're under construction, because that could be done within a month or two, and that could be nice little influx of cash there. And then sell off the 2 when they're done, when they're finished.
Yes, that's right. And that would probably be ideal. Sell off the home that you've just renovated first. So you do cover your construction costs pretty quick. Your out of pocket expenses.
Yeah, right.
So you cover that. So it's a very interesting topic.
It's fascinating. I was talking to my daughter. Hi, honey. Michelle is on our comments.
Oh, hi, Michelle.
Yeah, so I was talking to Michelle today about Bremerton. Bremerton is going to be part of this. And I believe they're a town big enough where they will be able to utilize ADUs, where the homeowners will be able to build ADUs in their backyard. Now, I don't know how they're going to structure it, right? Because that's Kitsap County. And I don't think they need. They're actually in the Big Four. They're in the first phase, so they need to come up with a strategy by December 31st. So everybody in Kitsap County will be aware by the end of the year what that plan looks like going forward. So, but it's interesting because a lot of the lots in Bremerton are bigger lots. Some of them are the older, really small lots, and part of Bremerton is on sewer. A lot of it's on septic, just like, Snohomish King County has a lot of septic systems around here. But those are the ones that are in the urban growth boundary will be eligible to add ADUs. So whether they're going to allow them to sell them off as condos is we don't know yet. So right now, I really love Everett's plan. I think that's one of the reasons we're focusing on it, but we're also focusing on it because it's actually being utilized. The laws are in place. The systems are in place. Everett is implementing their new laws. And so it's going to be fascinating to watch it unfold going forward.
And they've moved past the talking stage, past the blackboard
stage, and they're implementing it. So from what we know, there's only 3 projects on the book so far in Everett. I would imagine there will be more than that going forward. Part of that is, identifying the property that you would like to purchase. It's easier if you buy the house and then you have an attorney create an HOA for those 3 units. And and you're in control of the whole thing, right? It's pretty hard to go up to somebody who owns a house and say, hey, can we build a couple houses in your backyard? Would you mind? So I think the right way to go is to actually purchase the little old house in Everett and go in with the idea in mind where you're going to create higher density housing and sell them off individually, whether that's, $500,000, depends on what that looks like at the end of the day, where they're located, right? There's more desirable areas of Everett and there are lesser desirable areas. So I think it's going to depend on where they're located and what they look like. So you could build a cute ADU or you could build an ugly ADU. So
well, and if you
I vote for the cute ones, just saying.
If you need a good consultant.
Oh, Michelle says, hi, Dan.
Hello, Michelle. How are you? Good to see you. Well, I don't really see you here, but it's good to hear from you. Oh, gosh.
So interesting stuff, though. I like the idea of less expensive housing, that lower price point. I don't think they'll be less than 500. We'll see, if they don't have garages, maybe they'll get down, a little bit lower depending on where they're at. But I think they'll be 500, 550.
Yeah, it's got some margin for error. I'll put it that way.
There's a lot of factors, right? Because there's some really cute areas in Everett up by the City College, I think, in that area above the marina over there where you've got that bridge that you can go down to the marina, and they're developing that marina. I think that area is just going to explode. I think it's going up in value. You've got direct access. You can take a wheelchair. That's wheelchair accessible, that bridge.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You can ride your bike. You can put it on the elevator and go down. It's pretty neat. I haven't done it yet, but I understand it's pretty fabulous.
A little birdie told me recently that Everett Marina is big.
It's the biggest marina on the entire West Coast. A little known fact.
Wow.
That's going to be one of my Friday fun facts. The Everett Marina is the biggest marina on the West Coast. That's a fabulous claim to fame, and it will matter going forward after it's completely developed or more further down the road. But we've already got a bunch of restaurants out there, right? Sound to Summit Brewing. Taft is coming in. Taft will be down there. I've got the Jetty, Jetty Bar and Grill, I think it's what it's called. And then we've got the Muse, which is a whiskey coffee cafe, which I can attest to is like a marvelous place to go. I haven't tried the coffee. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I haven't had the coffee, but the rest of it's real good.
They will prepare a whiskey flight for your taste palette.
A whiskey flight.
A whiskey flight for your flavor palette. So you tell them what kind of whiskeys you like, and then you give them a price point, and they will give you 4 samples. And it's fabulously fun. The whiskey sommelier, or whatever they're called, he's a very knowledgeable guy. Really enjoyed chatting with him. And he brought us some delicious whiskey. I did that with a girlfriend of mine. We had to eat. We had to be there about 3 hours to drag that out long enough, They were not big pours. They were small pours, but it was really a lot of fun. So the Muse is out there. You've got Scuttlebutt that's been there for years. You've got Woodfire Grill and Lombardi's and Anthony's that have been there for years. And then you've got Captain Jack's, which is a dim sum place. You've got South Fork Bakery. There's just so many restaurants going in. And there's a big hotel that's going to go in where the Everett Marina is right now. There's a big hotel that's going to go in right there on that tip right there.
Oh, nice.
And, they do that pop-up ice skating rink over there by, what's the hotel they're down there called right now? Indigo. They do a pop-up ice rink every winter over there, at least the last couple of winters. And that's always fun. Took my grandkids there. Sure.
I've got a prediction to make.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I do. Because they've really renovated down here in Renton. You got down that landing area.
And
you got to, all that stuff with who was the number 2 at Microsoft for all those years? Fellow owned the Seahawks, right?
Paul Allen.
Who?
Paul Allen.
Paul Allen. That's the fella. They developed it over here, and it's beautiful, right? They've really done
it. Called the Landing, huh, Dan?
Called the Landing. Yes.
I've never been there.
You've never been there?
No.
Oh, it's nice. It's really high end. It's right on the south end of Lake Washington. Here's my prediction. I predict with this new renovation that Everett is going to give Renton a run for its money.
Oh, Dan.
Yes.
You do love you some Renton, don't you?
I love Renton. You know what it is?
Renton.
I grew up in Northern California.
Everything.
Over there in Stockton.
You grew up in Stockton, yes.
I grew up in Stockton. And Renton makes me feel just like Stockton, very much like home. I like to listen to the bullets flying around out here outside. It reminds me of home. I sleep well.
We can't keep these lives completely clean, guys. Sometimes
well, you notice I tucked this in at the 1 minute and 15
right end. I mean, you'd have to watch this thing from beginning to end, 60 something minutes or whatever. Yeah. In this case, who knows how many, 75 minutes. I don't know where we're at now. But
so this is sort of like the old San Francisco Giants. If you stayed back in the 70s, it was so cold, and they used to give out a medal. It was called the Croix de Candlestick. If you were there in the 9th inning and you gutted it out with 976 other paying customers watching the Giants play, you got a Croix de Candlestick. And that's kind of how I feel with our viewers. If you've gutted it out this long, you're
gonna get the little fun nuggets at the end, is what he's saying.
Yes, that's correct.
So watch out for the Everett Marina, though. That's gonna be something going forward.
In all seriousness, it's going to really change because, you can see the change here in Renton. I mean, it's a nice area, in Renton.
Oh, you mean since they put in the Landing?
Since they put in the
Landing in?
It's been a while, maybe 10 years, I guess. I have to look it up. But
it does impact an area, though, having something like that, a go-to destination. It does impact an area. It's like Woodinville with the wineries, right? I mean, Woodinville is now a destination. It makes a difference. You get people from outside the area. And I think now that Everett is developing that waterfront, it's going to be a destination because you can't do anywhere else at any marina around here what you can do in Everett, which is walk for miles along the water. Miles. Yeah. Yeah. And right now there's a lot of parking. I'm not sure what that's going to look like at the end of the day, but right now it's easy to park. So it has been. I mean, I've been out there walking since I've lived here 25 years. So I've always loved it out there.
Yeah, it's a nice area. It's very nice. Very soothing. It's nice to see the Puget Sound. It's really nice.
You know what? I'm a water person. Some people are mountain people, or they got to have the trees, and I'm water.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of how I am too. It's very calming,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then you get the little seals, I remember when we used to call it friend seal, would follow Bella and I when we would walk along the water. And we had one seal that would follow us sometimes for a while. And it was just really enamoring. I just loved it. And Bella just loved it because she would watch for her friend seal. Mr. Fat Tuesday, he doesn't know what a seal is. He doesn't even care. Bella talked to them. She would talk to them, and she even had one talk back to her one time. They had an exchange. One of them was laying on one of the buoys, and they had an exchange. It was amazing. If I would have gotten that one on film, that would have been amazing. Anyway, there you have it. I'm not telling any of my Alaska stories today. So,
on that note, I think that's a high note of the entire live stream right there. Bella and the seal talking to each other.
Yes.
You don't get that very often.
That's right.
So I think on that
okay,
note,
Dan, let's call this one a day, right?
Call it a wrap.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you for everyone that's still watching. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks you guys. That was a fun show.